Greetings to you, dear friends. It's wonderful to see you all again back here with me on the channel. As always, I'm going to start by asking you to give me a little subscribe by hitting that button right there. And also don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you never miss a video from me when I put one out there. Amazing. Okay, to today's video. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, I'm going to be sharing with you all about Microsoft Loop. What is that, I hear you say? Have you heard of it? You may have heard something about it, but don't know quite what it is. I'm going to tell you all about it, specifically how to get it enabled for your tenant, and even more specifically, how to start using it within your chats within Microsoft Teams. We're going to have a couple of videos on this, but the first one, I'm going to show you how to enable Microsoft Loop for your tenant, and then how you can use it in chats and meetings within Microsoft Teams and what it's all about. Stay tuned, it's coming right up. So what is Microsoft Loop? How do we get started with it? Well, on Microsoft's own support page, which we have open here, it tells us that Microsoft Loop is a transformative co-creation experience that brings together teams, content, and tasks across your tools and devices. It combines powerful and flexible canvas with portable components that move freely and stay in sync across applications, enabling teams to think and plan and create together. Scroll down and we can see the three elements of Loop. We have Loop components, which are portable pieces of content that stay in sync across all the places they are shared. These components allow you to collaborate in the flow of work on a Loop page, in a chat, an email, a meeting, or a document. They can be lists, tables, notes, and more. And you're always working with the latest information in your preferred app, like Teams, Outlook, Word, Whiteboard, or the Loop app. We have Loop pages, which are flexible canvases in the Loop app, where you can bring together people and all your components, links, tasks, and data. Loop pages can start small and continue to grow to match the size of your ideas. Loop pages can be shared across M365 apps as a link or embedded as a Loop component. And then finally, the third one, we have Loop workspaces. These are shared spaces that allow you and your team to see and group everything important to your project, making it easy for you to catch up on what everyone is working on and track progress towards shared goals. Okay, how do you use Loop components in other apps? You can use it in Microsoft Teams, you can use it in Outlook, Word for the web. Are you ready to try it? Go to loop.microsoft.com to get started. If you do that for the very first time, it's going to tell you that before you can use the app, it must be enabled in your organization by your administrator. Now, I found this not to be entirely true because I've used it in Teams already, so certain elements seem to work before you do this. But in order to fully enable it and to get the Loop app and realize the full benefits, you do need to go through some steps, which you can follow in this techcommunity.microsoft.com article. And it's telling you why you should enable it, what it is, the overview of the steps, some optional steps such as creating a Microsoft 365 group, and the important piece is creating a cloud policy. So let's go ahead and quickly do that. Let's create this cloud policy. So we're going through and enabling Loop for our organization. So you do that from config.office.com, and we're going to customization and policy management, and we need to create a policy configuration, and we'll follow the article exactly. I'll just call this Loop policy, and I'll click onto next, and I don't think I did. Yes, I did. So click onto next, and then we can choose how we want this to be scoped within our organization. The policy can apply to all users, specified groups, or the policy configuration applies to users that access documents anonymously using Office on the web. I'll just select the default for applying it to all my users in this particular case. There we go. So next stage. So on the policies page here, we want to be clicking on to search for the Loop app policy. So what we're looking for is create and view Loop workspaces. That should be about enough to find it, hopefully. And there it is. We have our create and view Loop workspaces in Loop. We can go in and edit that policy, and we can see that platforms that apply to it are Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and Office on the web. And the policy setting controls where the users can create and view Loop workspaces in the Loop web app and Loop mobile apps. At the minute, we can show more. In fact, there's a lot more detail there. We'll not drain all that detail here, but the setting is on not configured at the minute. We'll set that to enabled, and we will click on to apply. So, awesome stuff indeed. So, we need to click on next to complete the wizard. And we can review our settings and click on create. Superb. So, with that policy configured, you should now be able to sign in and use Loop at loop.microsoft.com. So, let's click on done. We've got our policy. And let's just give this a refresh. Now, it did say that this might take some time to filter through, and I suspect that to be the case. But that's how you do it for the first step of actually enabling Loop within your organization. So we can check back on that later in this video, or perhaps in another video, because for the purposes of this video, I want to focus on the power of Loop components within Microsoft Teams, and just how it supports you working collaboratively in that very application. So I just happen to have Teams open right here, and I'm in my chat. I have a chat there open with Stella Gibson, who is asking me if I can tell her all about Loop, please. Well, I can do one better than that. I can actually demo with Stella right in this very chat just how Loop actually works. We can have a Loop session together, and how we do that is really, really simple. It's from this little button here that is right at the bottom near our chat options, near our other options like our importance and our emojis. It's this little circular component here, and if we click on that Loop components there right within the chat, and we can do this in meetings as well, we get some options here for what we can add into our loop. And we can select a bulleted list, a checklist, a numbered list, a paragraph, a progress tracker, a Q&A, a table, a voting table, or a task list. Lots of things that we can work together on collaboratively. So here we go. I'll put in a loop voting table. And what could we have in our voting table? Let's have a think. Let's talk about James Bond. Let's put in a few Bond actor names. Sean Connery. Let's add some pros. Let's put it, he was the original. Cons, none really. Let's put in Roger Moore. And what was good about Roger Moore? Well, he was very suave, wasn't he? Suave, good word. Any cons? I love Roger Moore so much, but he was a bit cheesy, so we could have that as a con. Let's add one more in. Who's another Bond? George Lazenby, a very underappreciated James Bond. He only did the one, and it was one of the best for me. So what did we like about George Lazenby? Pros? Different? Yeah, he was different to Connery. Cons, I suppose many people would say the same. So there you go. So we've put in our voting table and click send on that, and it gets sent and it gets synced. And on my other screen, which I have open, Stella receives that in a message. She gets that very loop voting table, and she can go in and choose who she wants to vote for. So who does Stella like? I think Stella would be an OG. She would like Sean Connery. So I've clicked to vote on Sean Connery. Let's see. Yeah, we've got a +1. It's that quick. And we can see that Stella has voted on Sean Connery there. Awesome. And we can see that Stella has this file open. So we can see who has this open in our chat or in our meeting. Really cool stuff indeed. So that's an example of a loop voting table. What else can we see up here? We can see who has access to this. And at the moment, there's myself and Stella. If there were other members of this chat going on that we added in, we would see them in there as well. We can copy the link to that also, and Really, really cool stuff indeed. I really like this. I think this is very powerful. So what else can we do in here? If we click on, well, that gives us a new line in the table, so we could add in another bond. So I'll not do anything there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another loop and just demo one more thing that we can do in here. So let's put in, say, a paragraph. And let's put in a why is AI bad? Yeah, you all know how much I love AI. So let's, it's quite funny. Tell you what we'll do actually. Why don't we ask Bing.com why AI is bad? Let's scroll up to the chat. And I got Bing Chat Enterprise enabled, which you may have seen in my last video. Let's ask it this very question. Why is AI bad? Question mark. There we go. Let's see what it comes back with. It's thinking. Oh, have I tricked it? Searching for AI benefits and risks. Oh, it's taken a while. Oh, here we go. It's defending itself immediately. AI is not inherently bad, but it can have negative consequences depending on how it is used and who controls it. Some of the possible risks are blah, 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 blah. This is quite slow, actually. I did this exact search on Bing Chat Normal on another browser before starting to film this video, and it was way quicker than this. It had similar answers, not entirely the same, but let's just... Oh, God, it's still going. The key is to ensure AI serves human interests. I totally agree with that. Okay, let's just copy that. Let's go back to Teams and pop that in our loop paragraph. And we will click on send. And there we go. It's synced. And on my other screen, I can see that Stella has that immediately. And Stella could just add some stuff in. And you can see the cursor is there, and as she types, she's going to say, I like AI. And there you go. She's put that in, and she hits enter. And cool stuff. Now, you might have noticed there that as I click the cursor, there are some suggestions here for things to include. So if I press the / it gives me things to insert, just a quick shortcut of other things I can insert, and @ to find, so to find other people in the chat so we can call them out. So there's some handy little hints there on what we can add into our paragraph there, which is really, really cool. I love this. So brilliant. Now, what else can you do here? We can see who's in the loop. We can again see who's got access. We can copy the link. Let's just copy that link and paste that into our browser and see where we get to. Now then, there we go. We get into the full page of this within office.com. We don't have to continue to work within Teams. We can work with it in a different experience here, and that is really cool. And if we drop down, we can see that it actually has a file name and a version history and the location of it, which is in this case a Microsoft Teams chat. So you can see the idea of this and how powerful it can be. It's a very unappreciated feature. I'm going to call out my very dear friend Kevin McDonnell, who I know is a massive fan of this, and in many a meeting that I've had with him, he's initiated loop chats within Teams, and he's right to do so because it is very powerful indeed. I love it. There's so much you can do with it, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're only looking at it here in Teams. I will come back and do a couple more videos on this at some other point and look at some of the other uses of it in other apps. Before we go, let's just do one final refresh of loop.microsoft.com. It hasn't updated that yet with the policy, but if you look at the links of which I'll include in this description of this video, it does say that when you enable that policy in config.office.com, it can take a little while for that to enable. And although it is an optional step in the process, it may be that I do need to create that group that it references, although I did set the policy to to be for all users, so that probably isn't the case. But there you go. A quick little whistle-stop tour of using loop components in Teams. Don't get too loopy about it. I'm here all week. Thank you very much. We'll start winding things up. And that's it. That's our first look at Microsoft Loop. It's been around a while now. It's still not very heavily adopted within teams and organizations that I've been involved in. It really needs to get a bit more traction because it is really wonderful. It's an easy way to collaborate in so many good ways. I love it so much. I think it's brilliant. I'm going to talk more about this in coming videos. Watch out for those coming soon. Thank you as ever for watching my videos, my channels. Your likes and comments and your subscribes are massively appreciated. Please keep on hitting those buttons. Spread the word about the channel. I want to reach as many people as I can to help everyone on their learning journey with Microsoft 365 and all the wonderful stuff within, even AI, I suppose. Okay, well, let's wind this video up. I'll be back real soon with another one on the channel. Thank you so much. You take care of yourselves. See you all soon. Bye-bye.